Boy, these things don't ever go right. Boy, these things don't ever go right. All right. That's a long fade out for the audio, and I think that's something that I set in the midst of doing this. All right. That's all right. Long fade out for the audio, and I think that's something that first video review that of in the midst 2025. All right. We gonna make sure that first video review right before I proceed. 2025. I already screwed up the whole starting the stream here. That first video review. Let me take a look before I proceed. I already screwed up the whole what is going on with the DA. Starting the stream here. It should not be that first video review playing anything right now. So I don't know. Oh wait a minute. Yes, I do that. What is going on with you? Starting the stream here. Thing is I cannot. There's probably an echo playing right now. I cannot hear anything right now. What the browser is doing through the headphones because I have that muted. Thing is I cannot. It's probably mute that. That doesn't come through. Which is why I had probably the long fade out here. All right. Let me do a quick test. I'm gonna turn myself back on through the cell phone here. I'm gonna get this right, y'all. I got this separated as one OBS is for the stream, the other OBS is for the one OBS is for the stream, the other OBS is for recording because these two require two different situations. And I'm already okay. Yeah, I know what's wrong there. So let's do this one instead. Edit. Okay. I hear that. Did that pick up here? That's the question. There we go. Okay. The dog's picking up this time. Here. And let's see. Vocal wise. See if I can hear myself. Let's get past the delay here. Oh yeah. All right. So that should be good. All right. Okay. We're going to just hang out for a minute. This probably would be the best time to play some tunes. And I think what I'll do is, let's see here. Really, I wish I had my OBS blade working. So let's pause for a second. I'm going to pull in some extras. I'm going to turn studio mode off because that's throwing me off. Stand by. Figure I'd do while I'm rating around for those who have not heard.
If only I could take away the pain for a day, we could try this one more time. Lay your and whatever it costs to be together, it ain't no loss for me. Never forever yours. I want you. I'm forever yours. Let me remove these clothes and soothe your soul and rub all the pain away. We could try these things we've never done before. On the bed, we'll take time for love and play until the time you say. And whatever it costs to be your lover, it ain't no loss for me. There's no other forever yours.
I got this video coming out.
I want you. I want you.
I'm just brainstorming. It's called Original Digital versus New Digital.
We wake up in the
On the
morning
hunt for products that
as the sun rises over the horizon. We'll stare in each other's gaze and plan for the rest of the day. There's no hurry. We've got hours to gain. No worries. Done away with the pain.
See, will it play the next song? I don't know. Yep, it will. It just let the EP. Anyway, I'm working on a new video series. Original Digital versus
Side of my window.
I'm not going to get into the details here because it's quite
The day go by.
complex topic that what I don't want to do is get people confused nor put my foot in my mouth. I want to make sure I don't right. But it is the reason why you see that. So we're looking at today RX950, which is a DAC stimulator. And RX1200 simulation of classic boom bap sample. Probably the biggest audience that came to use that particular product. It's known for some properties that we'll talk about it. As soon as I get one person to say something in the chat, we'll get started. Right now, I got 4 people watching. Don't be afraid to hit the chat. It's quite alright. I'm an introvert myself. Don't do a whole lot of socializing. This is music. This is where you'll see me run my mouth the most. Ask me any questions. I do have a super chat goal set out there. If we reach that goal, then I'll do an additional live session answering any questions that folks may have. What's up, now, okay. I was gonna say Amplify. Amplify? What's up, Sean? Glad to have you here, man. So, yeah. So the original digital, new digital. This is a topic that, and I'll give you a little bit of background of why I'm even going there with it. Actually, I'm supposed to be talking about RX1200 here, but original digital versus new digital is this thing that comes from way back on in my KVR days, where some folks like myself recognize it as a program. Keep a lookout But again, today we're talking about RX bundle from RX1200. This is a sample based off of, this is a recreation of EMU SP1200. Popular back in the boom bap days for its grittiness. That was the name. Achieved that was by sampling records at a faster speed and then slowing it down to its original speed in the sampler. Did that, the internal algorithm imparted a lo-fi sound. That's its biggest thing. Oh, early. Oh, good old line. But anyway, I'm gonna get started. Since I have one person in the chat, and I appreciate you for chiming in, boss man. We're gonna get started. So the RX950, again, it's as it says on the tin here, AD to GA converters. This is supposed to be represent the converter pathways of RX950. And let me say this: I have not used either a 950 or a 1200. Budget sound. Might have been 20 or 30, some odd number, but I haven't had the opportunity of what these products are particularly emulating. They're both 12-bit based, right? So they're not the full 16-bit that you can find in something like a PC. 16-bit 44 kilohertz sound. I have had my hand on that several times, personally, as a sampler that I use. Yeah, that's my, hopefully it ain't too loud. That's my EP playing. That'll get cut short. Hopefully, is it too loud? Let me know if it's too loud.
Shuffling through all of these measures of time.
But
through up these moments I've been here on this earth.
All right, so let's get on with it. So the RX 950, we have a number of controls here. So we have the input gain, the audio bandwidth, the filter, and the output. The mono switch. Now, what I like about this plugin is the audio bandwidth is one thing, and that's where the sound of the converter is adjusted. But I like the clipping function. You turn the input gain up on this thing, clip input, output after the fact. Audio bandwidth almost sounds like a filter, but it's not necessarily a filter. It is what the original machine sounded like. This is the default setting. We'll dabble with it with the audio. Then the filter is it's a standard filter that came in. You want to use this as a filter as well as the end result of what it's saying. You can do that here. Very simple control, but I really like the clipping on this thing. I'll tell you shortly. So that is that. There's some control, some options in here. You can change the size of the plugin. Also adjust how much brilliance, treble that the plugin outputs. But it's very simple. But it's effective. The main thing is this guy, RX1200. Again, the claim to fame here is the pitching algorithm. in that it imparts a very distinct lo-fi color to your sample. So essentially what folks were doing back in the day, sampling at a higher RPM, 45, since most standard record players had 45 RPM as a selection. To speed the record up like that, sample it, and turn that pitch back down to match its original pitch. And that is where the sound of the sampler would impart itself. And so what they've done here, now this doesn't have any sampling. What they've done here is simply you load up some samples, you choose 45 RPM as the algorithm, and what that will do is it will turn the pitch up by itself, and then you adjust the pitch here to bring it back down to its regular pitch. We're all sitting on the river, nature of what the original machine did to the sound. Right? So up here at the top we have the sample manipulation part. So this is A1 pad here, so there's nothing in this particular, but you can tell you whether or not it's stereo loaded to stereo. You have the option to choose mono, independently. You have 3 different filters here, 2 mono filters, and then a dynamic filter. Almost has an envelope on it, right? That closes shortly after the filter kicks in. And then of course, as we just spoke about, these are the different speeds. So you can slow it down and speed, or you can speed it up and then slow it down. All these different options. Then you also have the ability to fine tune the pitch. Most of these controls, if you double click on them, they will turn to the default settings, recognizing that it's mostly the ones that do not have the top. Same thing. So, but you have the gain. This gain is pretty slick. It works a lot like the input gain here, where it will clip the actual sample. It's independent mix volume. The output is the output of the plug. You get 8 stereo outputs, right? Then you have various patches, and we'll touch on this in just a moment. But you have the few that come with the plug-in, right? So you have these are kits. So we have the ambient, which is the latest free one, and then we have the original factory collection. I'm going to say this. Out of everything about this plug-in that I like, more than anything, these libraries are fire, right? They didn't play with it. They created a lot of good stuff in this library, in these libraries. A lot of useful stuff. More than anything, if you're looking for that boom bap style of music, check out the stuff that comes with it. Now, I will, before I continue, there is no demo available RX1200. I don't think there's one for RX950. That's another doubt because I couldn't. There's no way for me to demo it. So I'm going to share it with folks that do watch my channel. In doing so, we'll get a chance to see what it does. Alright, so we can load and save these 2 buttons, right? And save. Do your own kits. That's how you do that. The mix volume, right? Up here is the settings for the plugin. Now this has more settings, of course, than the RX950. This is important. Right here at the top. This is how many notes can play at once for each of the outputs, so to speak. Right? So this works in tandem with the output. I had to bump my head. So you only get 8 outputs, and that's shared between all 4 of these banks, 4 banks, right? And by default, they're assigned to their respective numbers, right? But you can also change it as well. So you can change it. But the thing you want to be careful with when you first use this is that the polyphony for each one of these channels or each one of the pads only get 8 outputs, work in tandem with the output selection, if I can say it like that. So for instance, if everything that is on pad 1, right, whether you want A, B, C, or D, all of these go out to, is the music too loud? Let me just turn the music off. I thought I caught myself having that low enough. We go with the odd stream stuff. I just turned the music off. My bad. Where was I? Oh, so the output. So you only get 8 outputs. So in 8 pads. So each one of these banks, they will share those 8 outputs, right? So A will share. So if you have something on 1 and you have this on 1 and so on, these will all share the same outputs. However, if you are triggering a sample from each one of these banks that are assigned to one output, you want to change the polyphony if your intention is that those samples should play at the same time, right? Otherwise, they will cut each other off. So it works as it works in 3 different ways at the same time. It's a polyphony adjuster, right? So let's see here, you get up to 8, right? It is also the output of that sample when you're choosing it here, right? And it's also functioning as a mute group, so, or choke group, if you're familiar with that in drum terms. So usually a choke group would be if you had a hi-hat and an open hi-hat and you wanted the hi-hat to close the open hi-hat, then you would choose the same number so that when one plays, the other doesn't. And as a consequence, when the other plays, like the open hi-hat, and you hit the close hi-hat, you close the hi-hat. That's how that's supposed to function. So I had to get my head wrapped around that because I was like, why is stuff cutting off for no reason? But that's something to keep in mind. But again, they're all working in tandem with their functions with the output as well. And so that's how you adjust how many can be played on one particular output, right? The zoom, the keyboard layout, right? So it puts gaps if you use it by octave for each pad bank, as you can see, or you can just go it. So if you have the first C to whatever 8, right, it will just push it to the next key up as opposed to putting a gap in between the keys. All right. Then you have keyboard shortcuts. And then if you want to, like if you're editing a particular pad and you want to use the keyboard to select it, that scared the hell out of me. If you want to use the keyboard to select the particular pad, right, like this, then you would choose the select pad by MIDI when sequencer is stopped. All right. All right, that is it for the controls in the options. So let's move on to the main section here. The middle section, this is for changing various parameters. So you have tune, decay, and mix, right? So you can tune this up by 7, down by 8. If you double click it, that'll reset it. And that's across the board there. If you go to decay, this is, of course, shortening the sample itself, right? The length of the sample. Of course, mix is just what that is. It's the mix, the volume, and the pan. That's the middle section. The bottom section, as I alluded to, these are the banks, right? So you get a total of, what is that, 8, 16, 32 samples per instance of RX1200. And then over to the right, you have the velocity response. Now, this is global. So if you don't need, the velocity, you can turn it off here, right? Otherwise, all the pads will be adjusted according to this global velocity. Now, the 2 buttons up here, edit and clear. Clear, if I were to load one of the hits here, right? You hit clear. That clears whatever pad you have selected. All right. Now, if you want to clear the entire sampler out, go to collections. No, wait, where is it? Places. Where did it go? No, I'm sorry. Go to collections, factory collection. No, that ain't looking right either. There is a template. No, okay, I think I'm doing this wrong. Go to load. Then go to templates collection. And there's an all clear template in here for you to clear the entire sample. So if you want to start over, that's how you would do that. All right. Edit is where you actually edit the sample. So let me load up one of those libraries. Let's just do this first one here. All right, so now we have a number of samples loaded. Right? There's something there. Then there's let me adjust my real phones here because I'm using a room tone for the headphones and I'm thinking that my speakers is on and it is not. Choose Harman. Okay, so the edit screen here allows you to do actual editing of the sample. So you have your start, your end time that you can adjust here. Right, you cannot adjust it here, just so you know. You have to adjust it down here. But it also has a little simple envelope to it. There's no curve editor, but you can adjust the attack and then the decay, not release, but the decay with these two. So attack and decay at the top, start and end at the bottom. You can select a loop mode. So this first one is basically one shot, right? The second one, I'm trying to remember, but I think it's just basically looping forward, right? So it'll start over when it gets to the end. As a matter of fact, right? Wasn't expecting that. Let me choose up a little bit more. Y'all let me know if that's too loud, man, because again, doing live streams hasn't been my thing. Okay, so we'll use this as our example one. All right, so back in edit, you can select the loop here, right, and then this is looping forward and then looping back, and it'll just continue to do that. All right, but these are the different samples, right? Come on, sucker. I can clear that one too. All right, and you can select the banks here. There is an all function here that just shows all of the pads here, so you can easily click in and select whatever you need without going through the different banks. All right. Okay. The other thing about the editor is that it does have some actions here, so you can normalize, truncate, you can reverse the sample, you can revert the sample back to where it was, or if you need to, you can clear the pad. Right. That's that. You can also load in your own samples, which is very important in my opinion. Not everybody wants to use, just the live factory library that comes with a sampler, especially with a sampler, because your intention is to load it up with your own samples. But again, the factory collection and the new ambient collection that they released for this is top notch. And I think that is it, other than the play button up here, which that probably made more sense. I did. Nope, it doesn't do that. Okay. So this is for when you are, see here, go to collections and then here and then kicks. That'll be what that's for, right? So you could play the samples in the browser from here. That's what that's for. All right. I think that's it as far as the controls in the editor, and that is the entire controls for the sampler, right? So let us do this. Let us actually demonstrate some of its functions, and I'll continue to use the review one here. So I am going to go into here and the templates, and I'm going to just clear that, right, so that we start over. The claim, its claim to fame is the pitch algorithm, right? So that's the main thing that separated the SP1200 from other samplers. Was it just gave you this gritty sound, right? So if we load ourselves a sample here, I'm gonna try to find something. Let's see, I'm gonna actually do it. Pad 1, I'm gonna go to edit. Now let me make sure that y'all are following me. If you click this load button, this is for presets. This is for actual entire kits, right? Okay, cancel. But if you go into edit, this is for loading samples. Now I have my main libraries loaded in here right now. If I go in here to the circle samples library, let's just grab some loops real quick. Go blunt crack loops. It's been a while since I listened to some of this. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. All right, so we'll load that there. Oh, that is actually fucking nice. Excuse my French. I know I have not listened to any of these loops. Sheesh. That is actually pretty dope. I'm gonna have to cut that joint up. All right, so we have that loaded on the pad, right? Here's the claim. I'm saying claim, but here's its claim to fame. I'm gonna go to go here. I'm gonna put this on 45 because this was the workflow that people who own this machine and were doing boom bap. This is how they did it. So they did 45. Now let's just pretend that we're sampling that, right? We've sampled it in at 45, right? So it's playing in a higher speed. And the reason that was done was it was very limited sample time, right? So in order to cheat it and get some more sample time, you play it faster, then you slow it down. Now I'm going to actually reduce this down to, let's see, maybe here. All right, it's fine. Zoom in here, drag it over, just get a good clean loop going. We'll stick with that. All right. Still a little dirty. All right. So we have ourselves a loop added, right? So again, at 33, which is the normal vinyl speed, this is what it sounded like, right? But you wanted to maximize how much sample time you had, speed it up, and then you slow this down. Too much. So let's check here. Matter of fact, here's what I'll do, so we can kind of compare the two. So if you right click on these pads, you get these options in here, right? So right now we're on bank A, and I want to duplicate this pad, which is pad 1. I want to put a copy of it onto pad 2, right? So now we have both of these, right? So we'll select for pad 2, 45 BPM. So now you can see the difference between the two, of course. And then I want to match this up to the original speed. I think it's either 6 or 7. All right, so now it's 7. Hold on. No, it's 6. So you can hear those artifacts in there. That's the crunchiness that people were craving from the SP1200, right? But that's what it added to the sample once they slowed it back down to the original tempo. So that's the big thing about using the SP1200 in general, was that functionality. And a lot of records in the boom bap community was made like that when they were using the SP. I think I'm just gonna stick to doing videos, y'all. This don't ever work out right. Maybe I just need to practice more. Anyway, that was what the claim to fame was. It was all about that crunchy, gritty sound, right? Now I'm gonna copy this to bank 3, and then I'm gonna put these back. And I'm not that big on the that particular sound. It's useful in some senses, but I was always a 16-bit 44 kilohertz guy who, when it came to sampling, especially with drums. So again, I never had my hands on an actual SP20 or SP1200, so I never got that deep into it. But let's see what this thing is capable of, right? Now let me find the keys here for so that's that one here. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. All right, so I'm gonna go into edit. I want the hat on the second one. So I'm gonna choose that. Then this. All right. And then this one will do just a kick. In here. All right, here. That little flip at the in there, we can deal with that. Get it nice and clean. All right, now I'm gonna actually move the hat. So let me do this. Let me copy this one too. And the reason why I'm doing this is the white keys is really what I'm trying to use for triggering the sample. So I don't want to use the black keys on here. No pun intended. But I want the white keys to be the one that that I select. So this is the one we'll actually do the hat to. There we go. So all I did was copy what I did here onto 3, and then 4. I'm gonna actually need to move that because it's on the black key. I'm gonna move that to 5, or copy that to 5, I should say. So now select this and edit. All right. So now we have. And I do apologize for the rumbling of the microphone. It is on the desk. I haven't got a full setup yet in my new place, but moving on. All right, so we have our samples chopped up, so to speak. Let's see if they could use a little help here. So I'm gonna normalize. All right, so just a little bit. Don't know if I want to normalize this one, but definitely the snare. All right, so now right now, what I just did, I copied from pad 1 to all of these other pads. When you do that, so this is pad 1, notice that the output is on 1, the output is on 1 for the hat, and is on 1 for the snare. Because I did that, I'm pressing all 3 keys at one time. They're not going to play all at the same time, and that's again because of the polyphony. So if I increase this, let's put it on 4. Now everything plays as one cohesive thing, and nothing's cutting anything off. So that you want to keep that in mind. But in this case, what we really want, because these are 2 or 3 separate instruments, the kick will go on 1, the hat will go on 2, so we change that to 2, and the snare will go on 3. So that way they can all play at the same time. And then if I were to go to activate outputs and bring up the mixer, boy, I cannot keep my damn arm off that enter button. Let's do it like this. How about that? All right, that way if they do get to playing, it won't just bash it. But anyway, right. If we have the output selected now. Now this is something I noticed, is that even though we have these assigned to an output, right? they're still coming through the master. So if your intention is to separate the instruments, make sure you mute the original track so that it does not play at the same time with the additional outputs. All right. I bump my head with that one as well. All right. So going back to the sampler itself, let's see here. And you can see it. This is the wrong one, I'm pretty sure. Yep. This is the one we want. The gain is something to keep in mind for each one of the pads. So if I turn the mix volume down, right? Can't do it now because I didn't assign everything to its own output. But if we turn the independent faders down, so you can hear it at its low, at a low point. If I then go to the gain, I'm going to shut up as I adjust this. You'll hear the clipping kick in. Right? So that's not the final output of the plugin. That's per channel, per each one of these channels. Right? You can push into that output and get some clipping. That's very useful because, of course, we did a lot of that back in the day. We clipped our samples coming out of the machine, which gave it a little bit more knock, right? So and depending on the sample, you can really push it all the way up to 20. A little nasty up there, but you get the point. So the way you would do that, of course, it would be just how I did it here. You would adjust the volume down, push its output so that you can hear what it's doing, and then adjust afterwards accordingly, right? You get real crunchy, real, I don't want to say nasty, but you definitely get the character of what the plugin is supposed to represent as well when you do the pitching and you do the actual clipping on here as well. So let me reset these for right now, and we'll go back to tune. Actually, here, let me briefly demonstrate the decay. I'm pretty sure most folks know what this is going to sound like. So go back to mix, turn these back up. So we just need these three, right? Lose these so I don't get myself confused. So with decay, this is probably something I will intend to use a lot, is of course shortening the sample, right? I've noticed a little bit of artifact with it I don't remember hearing before. The other way, of course, as you remember, I pointed out, is to do it inside of the editor. So that's our kick. Now I'm going to truncate this so that that's the only thing there. Same for this one. Same for this one, right? Truncate those so that they're short as they need to be. So if I go back to the, we'll just do with the kick. So if I go to edit, I can also shorten it here, right? Even more than what we do out there. So that's two ways to bring the decay down some if you don't need the extra length from the sample. All right. So again, the function of pitching it up and then pitching it down gives you those extra artifacts. I would then shorten it up some from here myself. This one, let's try 78. So now 78 is way up there, right? So now it's extremely dirty at this point. Same thing if I went here. You notice I can't adjust it any further low, right? But you can always do the fine tune. Just get whatever you can get if you need it that high in pitch. Same thing with the snare. do the other way. So now we're running it lower and we'll pitch it up. Of course, that does not get you back to what 33 sounded like, which is this. So that's a completely different sound in and of itself. Of course, that's lower. So that's really the fundamental about what the SP1200 sound was about. We don't have a limitation at this point with this device. There's no limitation in how long your samples can be, at least not none that I'm aware of. I did not read the manual on this, so sue me. But it's not the same, right? It's not the same as it was back in the day. We were forced to do that because you didn't have enough sample memory. This gives you that option to use it on whatever sample that you have without having to worry about losing memory, right? And I think that's the selling point with RX1200 is that you have way more sample memory, but you can still use the function without, especially if you're sampling on actual vinyl with this plugin. Again, it doesn't itself sample, but if you sample it into whatever DAW you're using or whatever wave editor you're using, you can definitely do it the classic way by just sampling it at 45 RPMs, right? And simply changing the tune down to wherever you feel like it's crunchiest. If that makes sense. All right. So we kind of touched on, what the plugin or how you should use it, right? And there's various ways to use that. The other thing that is useful on here is these filters. So you have two basic filters. That one doesn't do a lot, right? But this one here, it's a dynamic filter. So there's an envelope involved that I believe the filter itself is triggered by the contour of whatever sample you have. And let's see if we can demonstrate that. So let me go back into edit and see. Use one of these. All right. Turned it down. So let's turn it back up. All right. So you can hear it a little bit better now. That, to me, it sounds like the dynamic part happens at the beginning. Like it's the filter is starting and then it's capping off, right? Like an envelope, basically. So my assertion could be incorrect in that it's following the envelope of the wave file. But what I'm hearing, yeah. So the beginning is open and then it closes right away. That's what I'm hearing. So let me correct myself in that regard. Nice clean filter, by the way. But there's no additional adjustments that I'm aware of with any of the filters, right? It's just a straight filter with a specific cutoff on it. And it's only low pass. No high pass filters are involved here. All right. So if I go back to edit here, let's just do this. I'm going to truncate this one since this is the actual loop. And we'll do reverse. All right. And then we can revert the sample to the original. This is a non-destructive workflow to the original sample that we loaded, right? All right. And that's really it. That's the gist of it. Outside of, copying it and and pasting the pads to different pads, right? You can do that in the edit screen or out here, or you can copy the settings from one pad to the other. You get both those options in here as well. Now, the load and save, again, this is for any presets. And to me, I think where Inphonik can most certainly capitalize on is the selling of libraries, because the ones that are in here, I'm going to run through a few. They are pretty nice. I'm not even going to lie to you. So let me shut my mouth and let's take a listen here, right? Again, if you not again, but if you select a preset, you can preview it on the keys, right? So it's showing you down here how many samples are in that particular preset. Now, I do believe I have, check, I have everything set to outputs. Let's just unsolo that and solo you and put you back in 0. That way we can hear all of the drums that come on this library. So go back to load. Now that was alive and kicking. This is the factory library that comes with the plugin. So this is including the white and the black keys. Nice, man. This is the thing that shocked the hell out of me with the library. So let me load this. Let's take a look. Did they use any of the functions? Because what I tend to find with a lot of libraries that are part of plugin samplers is, especially with, and this is really just with the samplers, they don't actually use any of the internal stuff that come with the samplers. They kind of just did all they tweaking and just threw samples in here. This actually takes advantage, right, of the controls. Like there's adjustments that's been made here, right, wherever they find it to be. So it's not just a sample. So if you were to actually go into the sample library itself, it will not sound the same in a different sampler, right? It can only sound the way it sounds in here, if that makes sense, right? But I'm loving the libraries themselves. Like these are some top notch, especially on the boom bap level, some top notch kits in here. So if anything, this library is worth the price of admission, right? Beastie Boys right there. Some Dilla stuff in here. If you know Dilla, you know where this comes from. Oh, I did not know that was in there. Huh. The newest library is ambient. Now they just released this in October, as you can see, of last year. So I think this, well, let's just take a listen. I'm not going to make any assumptions. Also, you can trigger the samples from down here. Nice. Now, I don't know if there is a panic button anywhere, but this stuff is mad loud in my ears, so let me turn that down some. But yeah, the new library that comes with the plugin has quite a number of kits in here, right? Let's see, what is this? So if nothing else, getting this and this the plugin itself isn't very expensive, which I think is the reason why there's no demo available. So let me pull up here RX1200. I want to say it's under $50 for a pretty dope sampler, like with some actual good samples in it for hip hop music. A lot of libraries, as I alluded to, does not necessarily have particularly good sample kits with it. And that lends you to creating your own, which is what most of us do. But some people like presets, right? Some people like to use the stuff that's already using the plugin till its fullest potential, and that's what this is showing in the in RX1200. What's up, Cool J? You say, Cool J said, man, I made a really nice beat with this setup. Would love to hear it, my man. Straight up, because this thing can get it in, and I'm gonna demonstrate that. Y'all have heard a quick sampling of it every time I hit the damn enter key. Lord have mercy. Yeah, the price for this thing, and this is to me, this is the reason why there's no demo. This is kind of a no brainer. The examples that they give you, which is what turned me onto it. The examples that they give you gives you an idea of how the plugin sounds, and the price for it, at least as of January 2025, is $29. Let me repeat that again. The price for getting an SP1200 sound and a hell of a library is $29. That's a no-brainer. I'm not trying to convince people to buy it, but I'm trying to convince people to buy it. And the reason is this has a sound to it, right? And it's especially for us boom bap heads that know what that gritty lo-fi sound can do for your productions. This is something that it's a no-brainer, and it comes with a crap ton of samples, and it's not just a rompler. You can load it with your own samples, right? And put your own stuff in here. So it's a sampler at the end of the day with a library. Beautiful sounding. And of course, you can create your own kits and save those kits to use at a later time, right? Some things that I would have liked to have seen, because I tend to use a lot of percussion, um, is that every pad could have gotten its own output. I would have liked that. That would help you to not have to load an additional instance of it. But you can load an additional instance of it. You couldn't back in the day. You only had one SP1200 with 8 outputs. And if I'm not mistaken, those outputs were mono, right? This thing has 8 stereo outputs. So keep that in mind. Now, me saying that, I'm thinking about something here. And I think it can be done. I just don't know if it can be done in Cubase. So if all I have is mono outputs, then I could choose perhaps, let's see something. Probably can't do it, but let's see. Nah, I didn't think so. Well, let's do this. Let me go back to these. See if this will work. So it's on stereo right now. If I do mono, of course it's mono. What happens when I put it on the left? All right, so it is not separating the output. So I thought maybe you could do the left side would be one, and then you could do the right side as another, but it doesn't do it that way. So 8 stereo outputs is what you get, right? All right, anything else? I think I covered all of the controls here. I don't think I'm missing anything. Go back to edit. Okay, that is one thing. So all of my libraries are on L, and most of things are in here. And so when you select a folder, there is a favorite button there, and that puts that folder over here. Right? So that's how you set up your favorites. Don't want that one, but the ones that you see here are where most of my samples are from. So that's how you select favorites, by doing that. But places is your entire drives. For many you have, collections is the libraries that come with the plugin. But when you're in the edit screen, this is the samples, not the kits, right? So you have to keep that in mind. I'm not sure why. Oh, I know why it's not playing, because I muted the master. So keep that in mind. Apparently, when you're in the browser for the samples, go back to where I was here. I'm going to go to snares. You have to have the stereo or the main track that on in your DAW. You have to have that unmuted. Don't do like I just did. All right. So all of those kits that come with the factory library, their various samples are in here. And so you can build your own library at the end of the day. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to build a here, go into load. I'm going to go into templates. I'm going to hit all clear. All right, so now we don't have anything loaded, and we have a crash. There it is. I've been getting that crash, and I don't believe this crash is a result of this plugin. It may be, and I'll send the information over to Inphonik, but I have another plugin that I did the actual track with that is an unusual plugin. I won't even talk about it. That has been causing me some issues, but let's move on. So let me select, we are in A, right? All right, so we are here. We're going to go into edit, and we're going to just create a collection here. Now, I have this Booney Mayfield collection. I don't even really know who this cat is, but I bought this library so many years ago. Doing boom bap stuff, this is kind of what I go to. So let's do a 808. All right, so that's a kick. Grab us a hat. Simple. Let's just grab that one. The white keys, so make sure and the keys where I want these things to go at. And grab us a snare. All right. So now we close out of here, and I'm gonna hit save. Do VM first. Oh goodness, and these caps. VM first. All right, and then of course a comment and author. Ish. Damn. It shows you where the pads are and they're loaded. It's loaded. Hit save. So now if I go into load, I go to user collection, I have my first kit, and I can preview it in here as well. So that's how you save your presets. Pretty simple. Like the actual sampler itself and its functionality and its controls are user friendly, but it still leaves some room for some serious exploration. All right, let's take a look. First of all, how long have I been streaming? For an hour. Oh, wow. All right. So the other thing, of course, is since we have some samples loaded here, sure what I did, but I do want to demonstrate the, let's do it like this. I want to demonstrate the RX950 and its functionality. So let me find something that I find interesting. Ooh, I love that kick. All right, so I'm gonna click OK. Close you down here. Let's just maximize this guy. Turn me on a little bit of metronome and a little bit of counting. Right. Solo this. In fact, I'm gonna do this so I don't make any mistakes here. I did all the prep to get the stream right, at least partially. Oh, but I didn't do it to get what I'm getting ready to do right. Anyway. All right. Oh. And it's the lazy way, folks, so don't judge me. It's on 8. One time. All right. Now, I want that to reach this guy. I am going to put our loop bar on 2. All right. I want this to loop basically across the no gaps. Just our volume, just a little bit. I don't like how this kicks. Get down. I'm hearing now that there's another output that's selected that I'm clicking on. That's why it's cutting that off. That's why I say you got to be careful. When that happens, you either want to adjust the polyphony or assign that extra sample different output. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing here. However, that's a good way to create a mute group. So there's no sample on this one here. Right? As you can see, it's empty, but it's on 1. So if I wanted to cut the kick, right, I could use just a key without another sample loaded to act like a mute group. That's what I'm trying to get at. But let's see what else is here. That's just using the stuff that comes with it, right? That's I'm just demonstrating some of that. All right, so I've showed you, how to use the plugin and some of the things that it does. And then let me show you what I did in a real world scenario, which is the track that I have here. That probably blasted through you guys' ears throughout the stream. Now, there's only 2 instances that I used RX1200 on. This guy here. I'll give you now, this is a library that comes with it, so. It's the Godfather kit, right? Let's see, got anything over here? We do. Crash. I didn't use that. Gritty. Me and my mouth there. You will not find gritty. You will not find that in the kit. That's my own doing. I actually duplicated the plugin and put it on a separate track so that I could affect the basically what happened was I ran out of outputs. Right? I'm using most of the outputs on the first bank, so the sample just would not play right without it being separated. So that the gritty sound, that gritty vocal sample is on the second instance of the plugin here, so that I can use it there. One other thing I do want to point out that I did use here, and you'll hear it in just a moment, is the automation. So you do get the controls in it are exposed, right? So in Cubase, this is how you use the automation. So for the actual plugin itself, these are all of the automatable controls that comes with it. Quite a lot. Damn near every control in here can be automated, right? And so you want to keep that in mind when you're using this plugin, because as you'll soon see, I use the filter, as you can see on the automation selection here, for pad B1, which is that crash, to change it when I go into the verse, right? So there's quite a number of automatable parameters that are exposed to you to dial in a performance from the plugin. So as you can see, that's where the filter itself is. And basically what's happening is I'm selecting the filter when it goes up. When it's down, the filter is off. That was done there. I am using some automation here, but I'm using the automation for, if I can find it here, for the, should be the panner. I think it's the standard panner. Oh, what is going on here? Why is this not so interesting? All right, so yeah, I think it's the standard panner. Or am I on the right track? Link panner. Let's see here. Usually shows and standard panner. Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know why it's not showing it. Oh, there it is. Jeez, oh, peace. All right, so that's the standard panner that's doing that. So it's just the crash right along with the filter for the crash. It is what's automated, because I wanted to use the crash, and you'll hear it. I wanted to use the crash in the verse as well as in the hook, but I did not want them to be the same, right? And then we have a number of other instruments that we used as well. Now, I cannot at this moment, I cannot reveal what I used on these tracks because I'm not ready to put that out there yet. But it is a part of the original. It is actually one of the main proofs, the main focal points of how I got to this recognizing of original digital that I spoke about at the beginning of the stream and the new digital. Mind blowing. Some of you already know about it, especially if you follow somebody like MG the Future. And by the way, if you don't know who MG the Future is, check him out on YouTube. He is the next hip hop philosopher. Dude goes deep on his streams. But yeah, check him out. Anyway, so we also have this here. So I'm using the same plugin here. It's a synth plugin, all 4 of these, or actually this one and then these 3 here. And then this is my usual suspect that I always use on damn near every Sunny Velvet track. It is the Rickenbacker bass, right? So that's that. That's contact 8. So all I did with that was to double up on the bass that's coming out of the plugin. So we have kick, snare, hat, bass, a sound I just called bug, a guitar lick, and then the main meat of the underlying sound is, I just named it crash drone. Okay? And this is what all of that sounds like. Always with the streams, man. Too much confidence. So if you're interested in getting a copy of Inphonik's RX, nope. Wait a minute. I am terrible with streaming, man, but listen, I forgot to demonstrate. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I am using RX950 on the track. It is on the bus for the drums. It is on the actual, well, no, it's just on the bus for the drums. I moved that. This is actually not being used anymore. And then it's on the master. So let me play this without RX950. Now this is all RX1200 that's playing, nothing else. One and a half decibels up. Audio bandwidth. No filter. No additional output. And then the second instance, a little bit more clipping. Now let me adjust the bandwidth. You should be able to hear that. All right. Now, if you are interested in getting a copy of the RX bundle, visit Inphonik.com, folks. This is a no-brainer, man. No-brainer.